What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to GamerFuzion. Star Wars Zero Company lands on August the 27th, and the early hands-on impressions are rolling in. So the question is a simple one. Is this the proper Star Wars strategy game people have been asking for, or is it a big license wrapped around a genre that has been done better elsewhere? Because this is turn-based tactics in the Clone Wars, built by the people who made XCOM. That is an enormous claim to live up to. Today we are going through what the people who actually played it are saying, the praise and the worries and the parts nobody can answer yet. Let us get into it. First, a quick word on where all of this comes from. Everything here comes out of hands on previews. Outlets were handed a capped preview build and played it for a few hours each. Several of them ran those sessions independently, so where they agree is worth paying attention to. And that matters with a tactics game especially. This is a genre that lives or dies on its late campaign once every system is open. Nobody covering this has seen that part yet, so we will not really know how it holds up. So here is the setup. You play as Hawks, a disgraced former Republic officer looking for a fresh start. What you build around him is Zero Company. The game describes them as an elite squad for hire. It is set during the Clone Wars, but you are not the Republic and you are not the Separatists. You are the people both sides hire quietly when something needs doing. Your opposition is a character called Fathom. She leads a separatist-aligned cult known as the Infinite Coil. Previews describe them spreading a viral force that infects people and controls them. So the war is the backdrop here rather than the plot. Now, the part that shapes every preview I read. Reactor is a brand new studio, but it is staffed by former XCOM developers. Respawn are collaborating on it. That pedigree is the reason expectations are running so high, and it is why nearly every hands-on reaches for the same comparison. Checkpoint Gaming titled their preview X-Clones. The AU review said it breathes new life into the turn-based tactics genre. Xbox Wire called their piece a new hope for turn-based tactics. Turn-based lovers ran an exclusive hands-on as well. Genre specialists being positive matters more here than the big general sites do. Mechanically, the core is clean. Each unit gets 3 action points on its turn. You spend those on moving and sprinting and using abilities and shooting. 3 rather than the usual 2 sounds like a small change, but previews describe it as the thing that gives each turn room to breathe. You can reposition and still do something useful afterwards. One preview described the package as several XCOM games blended together. There were touches of Chimera Squad and Midnight Suns mentioned as well, then smoothed out to be a little more approachable. The mission select screen tells you a lot about the design. Missions carry explicit difficulty ratings, so the game is upfront about what it is throwing at you. On the one I looked at, the failure condition was simply Hawks being eliminated. Your commander going down ends the entire mission outright. Missions also carry an expiry timer, so they drop off the board if you wait too long, and the campaign runs in numbered cycles. So there is real pressure on when you take a job, and not only which one. The squad slots ran to 4 units in total. CBR framed it as Star Wars meeting Final Fantasy Tactics. That comparison is more interesting than it first sounds. Final Fantasy Tactics is remembered for its story and its characters, not just its grid. Hardcore Gamer landed in the same place, calling it a mesh of strategy and storytelling. The squad building goes deeper than I expected. Hawks and your recruited operatives can be built from a range of species. Deveronian and Human and Togruta are all named. Twi'lek and Zabrak are in there too. Archetypes run from Jedi all the way through to Scoundrels. But the thing previews get most enthusiastic about is the writing. Several single out the relationships between Hawks and the rest of the crew. Turn-based tactics does not have a reputation for character work. People said the crew was the reason they kept playing past the objective. There's a lot of system underneath this as well. Weapons break into component slots that you swap yourself. The blaster rifle I looked at had a barrel and a cell and a scope and a stock. One mod equipped was a precision scope, listing a 10% critical chance increase. Missions pay out across several currencies too. You earn intel and credits, plus something tied to leveling a base called the Den. What none of the previews could tell me is how deep that layer runs. That is the part I am most curious about. The footage also gives you a decent look at what you are up against. Separatist battle droids are all over it, which is exactly what this era should deliver. There are clone troopers fighting alongside you in places. You can spot astromech droids out in the field as well. The environments swing from snowy mountain ridges to undercity caverns to wrecked settlements. A decent amount of it happens around ships and out in space too. So this is not one biome repeated for 20 hours straight. What the previews could not confirm is how much enemy variety turns up later on. In a tactics game, that is the difference between fresh puzzles and repeated ones. Now the concerns, and the main one, is a real tension. That same word keeps turning up across previews, which is accessible. Zero Company is repeatedly described as smoothing the rough edges off the genre. For a lot of people, that is exactly the right call. It is probably how a Star Wars tactics game reaches a big audience at all. But smoothing always comes with a cost attached. The people who love this genre love it for punishing decisions and permanent mistakes. And early missions are where every tactics game feels good on the 27th. Pricing is worth walking through because it is not uniform. On PC, the standard edition is $50. On console, that same edition is $60. The deluxe sits $10 above it on either platform. It is digital only everywhere, so there is no boxed version of it. Now, the important part, everything the deluxe adds is cosmetic. That is 3 cosmetic packs and nothing that changes how it plays. So there is no power being sold here, which is worth saying plainly. So where does all of that leave us? The early word is genuinely warm, and it is remarkably consistent. Nobody who played it came away flat, and that counts for something. The comparisons being reached for are XCOM and Final Fantasy Tactics. Those are not small names to throw around casually. What I will say is that the consistency here is unusual. Normally, previews disagree with each other far more than this, but the part that decides it is the back half of the campaign, and that is the part none of these previews reached. That is where the early impressions stand ahead of the 27th. Now, I want to know what you make of it. Are you sold on Star Wars doing turn-based tactics? And who is the first character you are going to build? Let me know down below. We will be following this one right through launch. So subscribe and hit that notification bell if you want the rest of it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.